Welcome back to my channel, and today we are super casual. I'm just doing a sort of get to know me and figure out who I am a little bit more outside of makeup type of video, just because I've had my channel since March. Technically I've been on YouTube since like 2012 or 9 or something crazy like that, but I didn't really use it or have my own channel or anything like that until March, and even then it was so crazy because I had a whole bunch of big stuff going on in my life. So really not until May did I get really focused and start doing this more often. So since it's been a couple months, really about a month, I figured now is the time to kind of talk a little bit about me. And I will preface this in saying it's a very casual video, and it's really quite hot in my house right now, so all my doors are open and I have animals galore. Well, for me, animals galore. So if you hear thumping and noising and distractions, I'm sorry, but I'll kind of explain a little bit that part of my life anyway. So to start out, I just want to, of course, let you know my name is Rachel, as you can see by my name and my title on my channel. I am 27 years old just recently, so starting to feel old, but it's kind of my pet peeve that I still look 18, 19, something like that. People vary. So I am older than I look, and I have to deal with that in my everyday life constantly, but I'm really happy with where I am and what I've achieved for my life. As far as my career really goes, hopefully YouTube will become a career of mine down the road, but for now, my actual career I have been in since college, or just out of college, and I've done really well with it, and it's taken me a lot of good places. And I currently live in Maine. I also have a giant golden retriever right next to me. He's my baby, so I'm sorry if I'm moving around a lot because he doesn't like when I don't pet him. But anyway, I live in Maine, but I'm from Texas, and I wish I was still there. And hopefully we'll be moving back down the next couple years or so. We'll see how everything goes. You know, it's not always easy to make a pretty much a cross-country move like that. It's such a huge difference. And I am married. I actually just got married in April, so that was, see, like this, there's a pawing at my arm. I just got married in April, and we've been together 4 years though, but we finally kind of got everything together and felt it was right timing. So that's why, even though I technically started in March, it just kind of wasn't good timing, and I was like, you know what? We need to get past the wedding, we need to get past all of this stuff before I can really dive in and really invest my time like I want to. So yeah, that's it's been pretty fun news. We went to St. John for our honeymoon, and that was really exciting. So really my daily life is my husband, and I have 4 pets. I have this big guy that you can probably see here, who is my 4-year-old golden retriever little child, and I also have, his name is Zeke. We also have another dog who's a kind of a cattle dog, and 2 cats. So we have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and even though I don't have children, they are children, and they keep my life busy. But I love them to death, especially this guy. He's kind of like my kid. Yeah, so that's kind of my daily life, is just doing that, going to work, come home, doing YouTube videos. I'm studying to go back to school to get my master's degree, so that's exciting. I've got a lot going on. So those are kind of my hobbies as well. We like to go hiking with these guys. In the summer we go kayaking. There's a lot of great lakes around the area where we are. I'm a big reader, and I'm also a big writer. Another hobby of mine, besides makeup and things like that, so you can now see a cat in the background, I'm telling you, it's never ending, is I'm a big writer. And my kind of pipeline dream, along with developing my YouTube channel and kind of getting more involved in that, is to eventually publish a novel. I like writing anything from historical fiction to fantasy and sci-fi, things like that as well. So those are kind of also the things I really do on the weekends, is we try to get out and about with the dogs, do something fun outside when it's nice out, or when it's snowing, because as you can imagine in Maine, we have quite a bit of snow. Bless you. You know, we try to do something to enjoy our time outside, but you know, it gets pretty hard when it's in the negatives and there's a blizzard out. So, I mean, snowman building is kind of fun, but I'm not a big skier, I'm not a big snowboarder, anything like that. I'm a huge animal person, as you can probably tell by how many animals we have. I also like to volunteer at an animal shelter. Anything really to help them or take care of them. I'm really, stop, buddy, no. Anything I can do to help them, really engage in them is really big to me. It's one of my favorite things to do in my spare time. Sorry, I'm telling you, it's chaos. So those are some of the things I like to do. Really? And he just falls back over. So I have a list of questions, so I'm sorry if I'm not totally engaged in the camera. So something I think everybody should do at least once in their life is doing something that is outside of your comfort zone. For me, YouTube was a big thing. You know, it's really awkward, and it's talking to the camera for the first time and really trying to get to know how yourself and how you interact with the camera and putting yourself out there and waiting for feedback, hoping it's good. And luckily, especially when you're first starting out, thank you guys who have been really supportive. Other YouTubers who are doing something similar understand that, and it's a great community feel. So again, for those of you that have channels and you've been reaching out and been responding to my reaching out and really creating that support system, I really appreciate it. It gives you that motivation and that encouragement to keep going. But in general, I think everybody should do something that they are not comfortable with at least once, to just say that they did it, they tried to do something new. Something I'm self-conscious about. I mentioned this a little bit in one of my other videos. I'm actually super self-conscious about my eyes, because about 4 years ago I had a really bad bacteria that I couldn't even pronounce if I tried affect my left eye, and it scarred up my eye and I couldn't see. I mean, I had to wear sunglasses inside like I was drunk or something for months. I visited the doctor every day for months, and it just tore up my cornea, which is the outer part of your eye. It scarred it all up. I had to have surgery and a transplant, so yes, I have a dead person's cornea in my eye, which is awesome to think about. But ever since this happened, they've been super uneven. One of my eyes, the left one, is so much puffier. It's harder to do makeup because it does have some puffiness, so you really have to kind of pull and tug and keep it, you know, aligned as much as possible, and I still can't really see out of that eye. So when I'm trying to do my other side of makeup, or really anything where my right eye has to be closed, I'm very limited on what I can see and do. So to this day, it is something I am super self-conscious about. And I know most people don't even notice it, especially in real life. The camera kind of exaggerates it, but in real life most people don't even know until I say something. But you know, when you're looking at yourself and you're seeing yourself, that's something you notice. You know, I'm sure my weight's been up and down, but you know, that's not really something I'm self-conscious about like a lot of people are, or where I'm from or anything like that. For me, it's definitely the eyes. Moving on, something a little less personal, just kind of basic, is what is one of my favorite smells. It is a sweet olive, or a Japanese tea tree. We used to have one growing up outside my house, right outside our back door, and every spring it bloomed, and I swore if I ever had a makeup line or perfume line, I am making something out of this tree. It was such a light, sweet scent. I would stand outside just to sit there and like waft it in my face. It wasn't super florally, like when you're thinking of lavender or like smelling rose, or when you go and look at candles that are floral scents. It wasn't like that. It was just, it wasn't even citrusy, but it was just something light and just kind of a sweet tea scent almost. I don't really know how to describe it, but it wasn't like an incense thing. But it was one of my favorite smells, and to this day it's still one of my favorite smells. And I still say, if I ever create a makeup line or a perfume line or anything, I'm gonna develop that. Don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to answer a couple more questions. If you guys want to know more about me, of course you can leave comments. Of course you can ask questions anytime. I'm completely an open book for the most part. Some personal things I keep separate. And as far as my personal life goes with my husband, we're not ready to have kids yet. It's something that's definitely on our radar because he is 15 years older than I am, so he's kind of getting to that point where he's ready. We're just trying to make sure everything's aligned with my job and with his job because he is self-employed, and making sure everything really makes sense, especially if we're gonna move. So kids we want to have someday, but not just in the most immediate future. What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for being a strong woman, somebody who is loyal and supportive, and yes, I have my flaws, of course, everybody does, but somebody who's just a really strong person. And I'm not even necessarily talking about being strong-willed. I'm not talking about being a feminist. Just in general, they go for what they want. They're ambitious. They try again. They're persistent and things don't work out. They really go where they need to go and do what it takes to be successful, where they want to be successful. Somebody who stands up for what they believe in, can be a role model for, you know, loved ones and children and friends. And somebody who just, you know, is really strong when it counts. Somebody, you know, who isn't going to tap out when the going gets rough, but really just keeps going. So I think I'm on my way to being that person, but that's somebody who I really strive to be every single day. Moving on, a couple small more things. Am I glass half full or glass half empty person? I definitely try to be a glass half full person. I can't say I always am. Sometimes I do get stressed out and I do just kind of need to take a moment because I am thinking really negatively, but I definitely try to be a positive person, because you know what? Being negative and being down on yourself and having a pity party or just letting the bad wash over you is not going to get you where you need to be. So if it is empty, or even if it's half full, you know, whatever way you look at it, at least it's refillable. You know what? There's more water out there, there's more milk out there, whatever it is you're drinking, whiskey, I don't care. There's more out there and your glass can refill again. So that's what I look at. Even when you have your down moments, you know what? You can fill it right back up. My first job. My first job was awful, you guys. I was a hostess at a local pizza place in my hometown. I come from a very, very small town in Texas, and I'm talking about where you see like cattle outside of your school. And for those of you who are from Texas that are not from Texas and you have this idea that everybody still rides horses to school, that's not true. But I did have cows and hay bales outside of my high school. The town itself was like 400 square miles or something, not miles, feet, I don't even know. It was tiny, but we had a big school because we borrowed from other neighborhoods and things like that. But it was this small mom and pop shop because all we had was food. If you wanted to go shopping, if you wanted to go to a grocery store that wasn't Walmart, if you want to go to the movies, you had to drive at least 30-40 minutes outside of town to go do those things. And the small town pizza place was hiring, and I was 16 and I was all pumped up to be this hostess, and it was god awful, you guys. They didn't even remember my name, and I worked there for like 8 months or something like that. They just didn't treat you well. They scheduled weird. One of their sons kind of ran it, and he thought his shit didn't stink, and it was just awful. And I was like, you know what? No, not doing it. After that, I've done everything from, I worked at Victoria's Secret. Actually, I kind of did that legally. Did it illegally because I was only 17. I graduated high school at 16, 17. I'd been 17 for a whole like 2 days when I graduated high school. And then when I was in college, I worked part-time at Victoria's Secret, but because of the credit card and because of the nature of everything, you actually have to be 18. So little secret there, but I worked there part-time while in school. I worked at Aeropostale, a couple different, during my off seasons when I wasn't in school back at home. I worked as a part-time manager at Claire's, and that was an awful job because you worked by yourself the majority of the time, and if you had to pierce ears and people stole stuff all the time, oh my gosh, that was a terrible job. And then I worked at a retail clothing store called Maurice's, and I loved it. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you haven't been there, it's wonderful. They actually, well, at least when I worked there, it was wonderful. We actually got to personally shop with people, really spend time putting outfits together. It was such a fun job, and my boss was amazing. We got little gifts and things like that if we did well all the time, so that was really great. And then when I graduated college, I got into the finance world, so that's what I am currently doing, as I work in finances. So, you know, it's completely different from makeup, but I love it, and I've been really successful with it, and that's kind of what I'm going back to school for, is to advance my career there as well. So, so that was a lot of information about me, and I hope you guys got to know me a little bit better, got to feel who I am a little bit better on a more casual, personal side, rather than just doing makeup and talking about things like that. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to know anything else, of course, like I said, leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer almost any questions that you guys have. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, so when I do have more makeup videos, I should have one coming up in the next day or so. I have a haul coming up, so I don't want you guys to miss anything like that. So make sure you subscribe before you leave. In the meantime, as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. And so is my puppy. Yeah, he hopes you have a great day too.